Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the podcast. And today I'm going to go my review of AEW's Dynamite. Starting off tonight, man, we have Mercedes Moné attacking Toni Storm backstage. Mercedes then takes Toni Storm out to the main stage, if you will. She keeps attacking Toni Storm, but all of a sudden, Mina Shirakawa comes out of nowhere to save Toni Storm. Some interesting stuff there between Toni Storm and Mercedes Moné. Moving on from that, we got the Young Bucks. The Young Bucks have a segment. They pretty much mock Ospreay and Swerve in the tag. I mean, pretty much what we're going to see here is the Young Bucks versus Ospreay and Swerve, most likely taking place at All In. It's pretty much a well-predicted matchup that's going to take place. And obviously the Young Bucks have some unfinished business with Swerve Strickland. Speaking of Ospreay and Swerve Strickland, we got a tag team matchup. It is Will Ospreay and Swerve Strickland teaming up to take on Lee Johnson and Blake Christian. I thought it was a good match. Back and forth matchup between both teams, with Ospreay and Swerve keeping the pace of the match. Ospreay then hits a Pele kick in the middle of the ring. Young Bucks music hits, calls it a distraction. Blake Christian hits a Death Valley driver, followed by a 450 on Will Ospreay. Ospreay gets up, hits an enziguri in the middle of the ring. Swerve hits a rolling flatliner on Blake Christian in the middle of the ring. Ospreay then hits a hidden blade on Lee Johnson. Swerve then hits a house call, pins for the 3. And your winners of the match are Will Ospreay and Swerve Strickland. After the match, Swerve and Ospreay go after the Bucks, but they are stopped by AEW security. Ospreay grabs a microphone as well as Swerve and announced that it will be Ospreay and Swerve versus the Young Bucks at All In. Ospreay says that he wants to raise the stakes in the matchup, and those stakes are this. Ospreay wants the Young Bucks to put their EVP status on the line for the tag team match at All In. Some interesting stuff there between Ospreay, Swerve, and the Young Bucks. Moving on from that, we go into our next match of the night. It's a return match of Kota Ibushi. Kota Ibushi's been out with injury for quite some time. He finally has his return match to Dynamite. He takes on Trent Beretta. I thought it was a decent match, man. It was a back-and-forth matchup between Ibushi and Beretta, with Ibushi keeping the pace of the match. Rocky Romero attacks Kota Ibushi ringside, with the referee being distracted. Kota Ibushi then hits a power slam on Trent Beretta in the middle of the ring, followed by landing devastating kicks on Trent. Ibushi then hits a standing moonsault on Trent Beretta for a near fall. Trent gets up, hits a running knee on Kota Ibushi, followed by a pile driver for a near fall. After that, Kota Ibushi hits a running knee on Trent Beretta, pins for the 3, and your winner of the match is Kota Ibushi. After the match, Okada's music hits. He comes out down to the ring, and Okada and Ibushi get face to face in the middle of the ring. And it was announced later on in the night that it will be, in fact, on next week's Dynamite. I believe they're celebrating the 300th episode, of AEW Dynamite. It will be Okada taking on Kota Ibushi, former rivals from their New Japan days. So I'm definitely looking forward to that match between Okada and Kota Ibushi. Moving on from that, we got another tag team matchup. It is Ricochet teaming up with AR Fox to take on Kevin Knight and Speedball Mike Bailey. The match itself, I thought, was a decent match. Back and forth matchup between both teams, with Kevin Knight and Bailey keeping the pace of the match. AR Fox then hits a senton to the outside. Bailey then hits a running shooting star press in the middle of the ring. Fox hits a springboard Spanish fly off the top rope. Fox then goes for a tag on Ricochet, but Ricochet walks away. This allows Kevin Knight to go to the top rope, hits a UFO splash off the top rope on AR Fox, pins for the 3, and your winners of the match are Kevin Knight and Mike Bailey. After that, Tony Schiavone interviews Kevin Knight and Speedball Mike Bailey. It seems like Knight and Bailey want an AEW Tag Team title shot opportunity. And all of a sudden, they're attacked by the Hurt Syndicate. Lashley then sends Bailey through a table, landing on Kevin Knight. Speaking of the Hurt Syndicate, we got a Hurt Syndicate segment in the middle of the ring. MVP says if able, Jet Speed, Kevin Knight, and Speedball Mike Bailey will challenge the Hurt Syndicate for the AEW Tag Team Championships at All In. MJF then grabs the microphone and talks about beating Mystico at Arena Mexico for AEW's Grand Slam. MJF then also announces that he will be entering the qualifying match for the Casino Gauntlet that will take place at All In, where the winner will challenge for the respective world titles for both men and the women. MJF says he wants the AEW title back. After that, he's interrupted by Mark Briscoe. Mark says that MJF is taking up too much time. MJF then mocks Mark Briscoe, then Mark then mocks MJF. So it looks like we're got a little back and forth banter here between Mark Briscoe and MJF. Speaking of Mark Briscoe, we have a Fatal 4-Way matchup for a Casino Gauntlet qualifying matchup. It is Mark Briscoe taking on Bandito versus Roderick Strong versus Takeshita. I thought it was a good match. Back and forth matchup with everybody involved, with Strong keeping the pace of the match. Roderick Strong and Bandito both exchange in the middle of the ring, with Roderick Strong hitting an angle slam on Mark Briscoe. Briscoe then goes to the top rope, hits a froggy bow. Bandito then hits a frog splash as well for a near fall. After that, Takeshita then hits a blue thunder bomb in the middle of the ring that looked absolutely devastating, followed by Bandito hitting a 21-plex on Takeshita. Briscoe then hits a froggy bow off the top rope, landing on Roderick Strong, pins for the 3. And your winner of the match, and moving on into the Casino Gauntlet match, is Mark Briscoe. Hats off to Mark Briscoe for getting the win in this matchup. Moving on from that, we got another Casino Gauntlet qualifier matchup for the women. Is Chris Statlander taking on Athena versus Willow Nightingale versus Thunder Rosa. I thought this was a relatively good match. Back and forth matchup with everybody involved, with Willow hitting a senton off the apron, taking out Athena on the outside. Athena, though, was trying to keep the pace of the match. Athena hits a suplex off the steel steps on Thunder Rosa. Marina Shafir is here. Willow then attacks Wheeler Yuta, but all this chaos ends up allowing Chris Statlander to hit the finish, pins for the 3. And your winner of the match, and moving on to the Women's Casino Gauntlet match, is Chris Statlander. Hats off to Chris Statlander for getting the win in this matchup. Moving on from that, we go into our next match of the night. It is the main event of AEW's Dynamite. It is Adam Page taking on the Beast Mortos. I thought it was a good match. Back and forth matchup between Page and Mortos, with Page keeping the pace of the match. Page then hits a fall-away slam on Mortos into the corner. Page and Mortos then both exchange in the middle of the ring, with Page hitting a pretty much a step-up powerbomb on Mortos for a near fall, followed by a Poison Rana. Page then goes to the outside, sets up for a buckshot lariat, lands the buckshot lariat on Beast Mortos, pins for the 3, and your winner of the match is Adam Page. After the match, the lights go out, lights come back on, and we see the Young Bucks standing in the middle of the ring, end up hitting an EVP trigger on Adam Page in the middle of the ring. The Death Riders end up showing up as well. Moxley then attacks Adam Page. The Ops are here as well as Will Ospreay to save Adam Page. A couple things I want to talk about, man, when it pertains to Dynamite last night. Was it the best episode of Dynamite that we've seen? No, absolutely not. There was a couple of things that I did like. I like the fact that we're getting some progression with the Mercedes Moné, Tony Storm storyline, rather than seeing Mercedes Moné ringside eating a steak dinner followed by a red wine, sitting by the commentary table. I'm glad that we're seeing more intensity, if you will, in this storyline, especially with Mercedes Moné. I think it's going to be a hell of a match. I think All In is going to be really good. I think this match is going to be very telling to see how this is going to, come out to fruition, to be honest with you, as far as the ending of this matchup. My prediction is that Mercedes Moné will walk out AEW's Women's Champion. It just seems like that's the way that AEW is going, the direction for Mercedes Moné. So I'm liking the progression of the storyline between them two. But there were some things that, I wasn't really too keen on, to be honest with you. I'll say, for one, the other thing I did like too was the Young Bucks at the end of the night. Obviously, that storyline is heating up between the Young Bucks and Adam Page. So I did like that. But there were some things on this card, man, that just was not needed. Adam Page versus the Beast Mortos. I'm just going to put this out there, man, and this might be something where this might be a conspiracy theory for most people. But it is a little ironic how, last week, I believe it was AEW's Grand Slam in Mexico, where we had the Beast Mortos a part of, if I'm not mistaken, a part of the main event scene during the AEW's event Grand Slam in Mexico, in Arena Mexico. And now, here's a week later for Dynamite, and now we're getting the Beast Mortos also a part of the main event scene. So it's a little ironic how the Beast Mortos has been a lot more prevalent here as of late, ever since he announced, or the announcement came out, that he was actually dating Mercedes Moné. Now, it might be a hot take for most people, but I'm telling you guys right now, man, Mercedes Moné has a lot more pull backstage than people believe. And it's just a little ironic where before this was even announced, but that Beast Mortos was dating Mercedes Moné, we really weren't seeing the Beast Mortos a whole hell of a lot. In the past 2 weeks, he's been in the main event for the past 2 weeks of Dynamite, most notably in Grand Slam, and now, last night for the Dynamite episode that took place last night. So clearly there's something going on backstage. And my thing is you could say, oh, that's not true, but okay, but where's Roosh? Where's the rest of LFI? No, we're getting the Beast Mortos. You know what I mean? And my thing is, I go back to what I said the last time about the Beast Mortos for a Grand Slam. He had never, in 14 years, he hasn't wrestled for a Grand Slam, and all of a sudden, out of the blue, he's slotted into Grand Slam's main event when he hasn't wrestled for CMML in over 14 years. So it's just a little ironic, a little, it's a little odd, but I think for me personally, I think it has a little bit to do with Mercedes Moné. I mean, obviously they have a promoter over there in CMML. He's the main booker, but again, this was something that maybe Mercedes Moné had a little bit to do with the fact that, he was in the main event scene in the past 2 weeks for AEW Dynamite. I'm not taking anything away from the Beast Mortos. I think if someone told me to choose which wrestler you rather see between Hologram and Beast Mortos, I'm probably going to take the Beast Mortos. I think he did really well in the match last night against Adam Page. And for a guy that's his size, his stature, and what he was doing in the middle of the ring, the intensity that he had, the speed that he had, the tornado that he hit on the outside, the corkscrew tornado was awesome. So, I mean, for a guy his size, his stature, and how fast he goes in the ring, and the fact that he still has, the mobility to go so fast and do those acrobatic moves at the size and stature that he is in, it's incredible. I'm not taking anything away from the guy's talent, but I will say it's a little ironic how all of a sudden out of the blue he is getting pushed. And to be honest with you, I was kind of hoping more for a Roosh push than the Beast Mortos. This is the guy who's a leader of LFI, with talking about Roosh. And Roosh really hasn't had the opportunities to really be in the main event scene a whole hell of a lot. Now, he's been a part of different types of tournament, most notably the Continental Classic, but he hasn't really been in the main event scene since he's been with AEW Dynamite. So it is a little ironic how we're getting more of the Beast Mortos rather than seeing Roosh in the main event scene, because I believe Roosh is a 10-time better wrestler than the Beast Mortos, with all due respect. Was there a lot of progression storyline-wise leading into All In besides Tony Storm and Mercedes Moné last night? No, there was not. We had Will Ospreay and Swerve, and the segment they had with the Young Bucks. I mean, this match was already pretty much premeditated that this was going to happen leading into this year's All In. There was no way in hell you were not going to have Will Ospreay, Swerve, or the Young Bucks a part of All In. So, Tony Khan and AEW were trying to find a way to put, these guys on the card for All In. It's their biggest show of the year. So what better way to do that and, kind of have the lesser of two evils than have a tag team matchup between the Bucks taking on Ospreay and Swerve. Now, the stipulation, that's a whole different ballgame. To me, when the stipulation was announced, it's very hard for me to believe that Ospreay and Swerve will end up beating the Young Bucks at All In. Because if you look at the EVP trigger, the fact that they, their entrance music alone is about the EVPs, the founding fathers. I don't see them taking an L at All In. And my thing is even if, in hypothetical sense, what if the Young Bucks did lose? Is this going to be something where Ospreay and Swerve are now going to be the EVPs, if you will, of AEW? It's kind of a shitty narrative, to be honest with you. To me, I just seem like the Young Bucks will walk in and walk out with a W and All In. I just don't see them losing that EVP status, and I don't know how it would really work out with Ospreay and Swerve being EVPs of AEW. I don't see that happening. But I will say this. I mean, for what it's worth, I was a huge fan of the fact that obviously back then the Young Bucks needed a change. And they did. They went rogue, they went heel, and for what it's worth, I mean, the EVP scenario that they were doing, the storyline that they were trying to create, at the time, in the beginning, it was working. And then it fell flat. To me, the Young Bucks is one of those things, to me, where, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And I would not be opposed to seeing the Young Bucks go back to being what they once was when they got into AEW. And to be honest with you, yeah, I'm happy that they're having a tag team match in AEW, but I would like to also see them back in the tag team title picture. I know some people were saying, man, I don't really want to see them as tag team champions again because they held the titles hostage. I'm not sitting here saying that I'm disagreeing with the fact of Lashley and Shelton Benjamin holding those belts. I think the Hurt Syndicate are great. I think they're probably the best thing going right now in AEW. But what I'm saying to you guys is that Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin need competition. And the Young Bucks can give them competition, as well as FTR. There's always, it's been speculation also of Edge and Christian also reuniting and forming a tag team again. Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin need competition. I have all the respect in the world for Speedball Mike Bailey and Kevin Knight, but at the end of the day, these guys are singles competitors. Kevin Knight should be in the TNT title conversation. And I was, my thing with Kevin Knight is my biggest issue was with AEW is, are they really going to push this guy? And, is he going to be sitting in catering? And I'm glad that I was wrong on that. They have been using Kevin Knight quite a bit on Dynamite week in and week out, which is great. But the tag team, the Jet Speed, or whatever the hell they want to call themselves, with Mike Bailey and Kevin Knight, these two gentlemen need to be in the conversation for possible a TNT title opportunity against Adam Cole. that's just I would not mind seeing Kevin Knight versus Adam Cole. I think it'd be great. Even Speedball Mike Bailey, and bring a little bit more limelight to the TNT title. But we'll see how this tag team plays out between Kevin Knight and Speedball Mike Bailey. It seems like the direction that they're going, leading into All In, and that it will be, in fact, Kevin Knight and Speedball Mike Bailey taking on Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin for the AEW tag team titles. But like I said, man, the AEW tag team division, it just needs a revamp. You know what I mean? Whether it's FTR in the conversation going after the AEW tag team titles, we also have the Outrunners. We have, I don't know what the hell is going on with Private Party. We haven't seen them in a while. So we also have Private Party. We have, other tag teams. I mean, you can put Leo Rush and Action Andretti into that if you really want to. Also, the Guns, Austin and his brother, also part of the, that tag team. They would be great. Having the Guns in the conversation to be, tag team champions. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what's going on with them. I think one of them's injured. But it'd be great to see them back. I've also even mentioned before, man, that, again, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Reuniting Anthony Bowens and Max Caster as the Acclaimed. I mean, that was one of the most over tag teams in all of AEW. And right now, with all due respect to both these guys, being Anthony Bowens and Max Caster, a singles run right now is just not really benefiting any one of these guys right now. To be honest with you, Max Caster is putting out open challenges and getting his ass beat week in and week out when he has these open challenges on Collision. It just doesn't really pan out. Anthony Bowens, I understand he wants to have a singles run. It's just not working. Unfortunately, and that's the problem 9 times out of 10 when people look at tag teams that kind of drift off and do their own thing. Sometimes it works, but a lot of times it doesn't. I mean, if you look at a situation where you have Mike Santana and Ortiz, well, everybody loved, Santana and Ortiz. They're a great tag team, one of the best tag teams of all time. Well, then they ended up splitting up, and Santana wanted to have the singles run, and it's benefiting him a lot. I mean, he's done great things over in TNA. He's obviously working with NXT as well. I mean, his singles run has been really, really good. Where Ortiz, on the other hand, he's kind of lost in the sauce right now. And I don't know if he's injured, but again, it's not. I don't know how much benefit it's going to really have for Ortiz now that they're no longer a tag team with Ortiz and Santana. So, seems like it benefits Santana more than Ortiz. I mean, you can look at old school tag teams as well. I mean, Edge and Christian back in the day. I mean, it immensely benefited Edge when he went off to his singles run and did his own thing, where Christian, WWE-wise, it really didn't pan out all that well for Christian, where when Christian went over to TNA, he had a full revamped career, and Christian really made a name for himself working over in TNA. And obviously, we all saw the historic run that Edge was on. So that benefited Edge immensely. But there are those tag teams where Edge just falls flat on its face. I mean, you look at tag teams back in the day like the Steiners. It benefited Scott Steiner for a little bit, but it definitely affected Rick Steiner, hands down. I mean, you look at other tag teams, like, if you look at APA, Farouk and, Bradshaw. I mean, it benefited a lot for Bradshaw when he split from the APA to do his own thing, where Farouk was really at the tail end of his career, and it really wasn't benefiting, Farouk at all. So, I mean, some tag teams benefit from having, splitting off and someone doing a singles run, and sometimes it does not. And I think it's the Acclaimed, they need to reunite. I don't see them. The singles run shit's just not working. And then there are tag teams that are put together. It doesn't work either. I think Big Bill and Brian Keith. Big Bill needs to be in a conversation that he can be a TNT champion. I think it doesn't benefit him at all being with Brian Keith at all as a tag team. It just doesn't work. I said the same thing when Big Bill was teaming up with Ricky Starks. Ricky Starks is a singles superstar, man. This guy is, a competitor. This guy is a singles competitor. It's just the way it is. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and it's just the nature of the beast. So my thing is, when this match was announced with Ospreay and the Young Bucks, I'm all for it. But what happens after this? We have Swerve and Ospreay as a tag team now moving forward? I mean, I don't know. The Young Bucks need to go back to what brought them to the dance. I mean, and that's why I said when they announced this whole stipulation with the EVP status, to me it's very predictable that the Young Bucks will walk in all in and walk out with a W against Ospreay and Swerve. To me, I think more of what the stipulation should have been is if Ospreay and Swerve beat them, that the Young Bucks are not nowhere near the main event match between Jon Moxley and Adam Page, just to continue that storyline and add a little bit more sauce, if you will, to that storyline between Adam Page and Jon Moxley. So, but it is what it is. We also had Jon Moxley cut a promo last night, pretty much, talking about the matchup with him and Adam Page at All In. To me, and this is a thing too, man, and I want to talk about this. A lot of people are hoping that Adam Page walks in and walks out AEW World Champion, and I'm right there with y'all. Do I see it happening? No. I can see Jon Moxley walking out of All In with that AEW World title. And there's a couple of reasons why. I told you guys this for the past couple weeks, ever since it was announced that, Darby Allin is on his way back. And now we get the announcement of this Casino Gauntlet match taking place the same night as All In. I'm assuming that it's taking place before the main event, where the winners of both respected Casino Gauntlets, whether it's the women or the men, they challenge for the respected world titles. So it's almost like a cash-in kind of thing or a Money in the Bank kind of thing if this person wins the Casino Gauntlet match. Well, we haven't seen Darby Allin. So is Darby Allin going to put his name into the hat to be a part of this Casino Gauntlet match, and he ends up winning this matchup? And then do we have a possible cash-in at All In? You know what I mean? Or does he wait until we get to Wrestle Dream, where Moxley's going to hold the belt for the next couple months until we get back to Seattle or Tacoma, Washington for Wrestle Dream, where Jon Moxley then will challenge, or Darby Allin will challenge Jon Moxley for the AEW World title? You know what I mean? So my thing is I think a lot of people are going to be up in arms and pissed if Page doesn't walk out with that belt, and it's going to be a tough pill to swallow for a lot of people. It really is, because people are just done with this Jon Moxley Death Rider bullshit. They're just done with it. It's hurting the company. It's crippling the company. We haven't seen the fucking title since last October, and now we're talking about the fact that we won't see the title again possibly until this year's October. So a full year since we saw the AEW World title. So, I mean, again, it's I don't know, man. It's one of those things where I think, honestly, and I said this, I believe it was last week, that what would really benefit AEW is to have someone hold that AEW World title, that we actually see it on AEW television. It's actually defended on Dynamite television, because right now they need it. I think it would be a huge rating pop for AEW, and get the title back on television again, because right now that title's been locked away in a fucking briefcase since October. So, and we don't even know what the belt looks like. It could look like dust right now, or maybe Jon Moxley pulling the damn thing off, and all it is that he's walking around with a briefcase telling everybody, oh yeah, the title's in there, and he pulling it off. We don't even know. You know what I mean? So again, it's something that they desperately need to do for AEW, and I don't see them doing it. And that's what worries the hell out of me going into All In and going out of All In. Is Jon Moxley going to walk in and walk out still AEW World Champion? And then we're going to put this off, and Moxley's going to hold this belt for another couple months until we get to this year's October, where he would defend the belt against Darby Allin. Darby Allin is the wild card in all this shit. I'm telling you guys right now. Because I can see Darby Allin coming back into AEW. He challenges for the world title. I can see Sting somehow being a part of this again. And, kind of having Darby's back, but not really being in a wrestling capacity, just kind of being an on-air presence for Darby. Sure. Sting's not doing jack shit right now. I know that Darby was training with Sting's kid to help him try to get in the wrestling business. So yeah, I mean, obviously the relationship is strong there between Darby and Sting. So yeah, I could see, Sting coming back to help Darby or whatever the case may be. Sure. I think, for what it's worth, I think Sting is still under AEW contract from what I understand. So, I mean, again, it's just one of those things where, there's a lot of narratives. And I think Darby Allin is the wild card in all of this. The other thing I want to talk about, too, that I don't think a lot of people have been talking about, is Bryan Danielson. Now, there was speculations and rumors, and Bryan Danielson himself was asked if he was going to actually return into back to AEW in a wrestling capacity. Is he going to have some matches in AEW? And initially, Bryan Danielson kind of shut it down because, he's worried about his neck. He's worried about having matches. He doesn't want to, injure his neck any more than it has to be. But then we get to Dynamite Grand Slam that took place last week. Now, I believe it's a part of a Collision episode, but Danielson actually got physical in that matchup, and it actually shocked a lot of people. He obviously got a huge pop from the fans when his music hit, and, a lot of people were saying, oh, well, you know what, this is a one-off. You know what I mean? Or maybe he just did it as, just to celebrate the fact that AEW was in Arena Mexico. Then we get rumors and speculation that Danielson was also part of another situation and got physical again with Max Caster when Max Caster had one of his open challenges again, and it seems like Bryan Danielson was the person that answered that challenge. So are we going to get a return here, possibly, of Bryan Danielson in a wrestling capacity once again within AEW? It's just speculation at this point, man, but I can tell you right now that it would be amazing to see Bryan Danielson come back into the fold and wrestle for AEW, man. He's sorely missed. So, I mean, with that being said, I mean, with him getting physical in some of these matches, or having altercations with some of these wrestlers as far as getting, attacking them or wrestling them in a match. It seems like maybe Bryan Danielson might be entertaining the idea of possibly wrestling once again for AEW, and if that were to be the case, I'm all in. I think it would be a great thing for Bryan Danielson if he's ready to go and he's okay medically to actually compete one-on-one in the ring with somebody. Yeah, he's sorely missed, man. I mean, we haven't seen Bryan Danielson wrestle since he was pretty much getting his ass kicked by Jon Moxley, and that's how we got this whole Death Rider bullshit. So, I mean, again, do I think he'll be a part of All In this year? He should be. Absolutely. In some kind of capacity, he should be there. Absolutely. But the fact that he's gotten physical in the past couple of weeks with AEW Dynamite, I mean, I would not be opposed at all seeing Bryan Danielson wrestle again within AEW. Absolutely. And for some reason, I mean, Bryan has a lot of belief in this company. I mean, he stands on business when it pertains to AEW. He has a lot of faith in this company. He wants this company to succeed. So, I mean, we're going to see what happens. But I wanted to bring that attention to you guys if you guys haven't known. But it's, Bryan Danielson has got into some physical altercations here in the past couple weeks. And it has got physical with some of these matches. So it looks like he might be entertaining the idea of possibly, maybe, just maybe, wrestling once again under the AEW banner. So, I mean, again, if that were to be the case, it'd be absolutely awesome. The other thing I want to talk about too, man, before I get the hell up out of here, is the direction we're going in towards All In. I think we roughly got about 2.5, 3 weeks left until we get to All In. Like I said, the build between Mercedes Moné and Toni Storm has gotten better. It's intensified a little bit more. Jon Moxley, Adam Page, I mean, it's on and off as far as build. My standpoint, even when Adam Page was in Arena Mexico, man, he did a fantastic job with that promo. I mean, it shocked a lot of fans. It was great. It was a great moment. And, it's just a catalyst, if you will, leading up to the match to All In. So, I mean, I think he did a fantastic job with that promo in Arena Mexico. He did it entirely in Spanish, which was awesome. Which was great. So we have that build between Adam Page and Jon Moxley. That it's on and off. Mercedes Moné and Toni Storm. Now we got Ospreay and Swerve teaming up to take on the Young Bucks. Obviously there's going to be more matches to be announced leading up to All In. So we're going to see how it plays out, man. To me, All In obviously is AEW's biggest show of the year. It's taking place in Arlington, in Texas. I believe at the Texas Ranger Stadium, if I'm not mistaken. So, I mean, it's going to be great matches. I mean, I know Athena also, that's the other thing I want to talk about as well. Athena wants to be a part of this show. Now, she will be a part of a show, not with AEW, but for Ring of Honor, I believe Friday, in the area, obviously All In. But she wants to be on the All In card. Now, I don't know how that's going to work. She was in a Casino Gauntlet match where she did not qualify for this matchup. I don't know if they're going to put her in because she did lose the qualifier matchup. But, my thing is, it could have been, if she would have won that matchup, it could have got her into the All In card alone just by qualifying for the Women's Casino Gauntlet match, which she ended up not winning that matchup, and Statlander ended up getting the win due to the help from Marina Shafir and Wheeler Yuta. So, I don't know, man. Do I think we'll see Athena? I don't know. I don't know, which is crazy because I know Athena wants to have a storyline again with Mercedes Moné. She has some unfinished business with Moné, and she wants a storyline with Moné. And to be honest with you, I don't blame her. I would love to see another match between her and Moné. I think they did a good job in their last match that they had. She's doing great things over at Ring of Honor. She's held that belt, the Ring of Honor Women's Championship, now for 1,000 days. It's time that we see Athena regularly on AEW Dynamite at this point. I told you guys before, when it pertains to Athena, I think she's wasting her talents away being on Ring of Honor. It does her no justice. It does her no good. Ring of Honor is behind the paywall anyway. She could be on Dynamite, AEW's main show, their A show, and why not? Put her in the women's division on AEW Dynamite. I mean, it wouldn't be an issue, in my honest opinion. I mean, I think they need her. And I know AEW is already entertaining the idea of having women's tag team champions. So, I mean, again, they're going to need singles competitors to go after the TBS title as well as the AEW World Championship. That's most likely going to be held by Mercedes Moné because Moné is just taking that women's division by hostage at this point. So they're going to need number one contenders for the TBS title as well as the AEW World Championship. And why not have Athena, kind of circling around in the mix to be a number one contender for either the TBS title or the AEW's Women's Championship. So hopefully she gets that opportunity, and hopefully we do see Athena on AEW television here relatively soon. But like I said, man, Dynamite last night wasn't the greatest. It wasn't the best show. It wasn't the worst, but it wasn't the greatest. Like I said, I enjoyed the build with Mercedes Moné and Toni Storm. Hopefully it continues to keep intensifying leading up to All In. But I will say Adam Page and Jon Moxley, there needs to be a little bit more storyline in that match to really get me fully on excited to watch this match at All In. But with that being said, this is my review of AEW's Dynamite. I hope you guys are out there staying safe. Be careful.